Part 26. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 251. Zhang Wen and Lu Xiaojing finished the game hastily, and came out to enter Guangmingding with Xiaoming. Now Guangmingding can be called a paradise, and the spiritual energy is so rich that it seems to be condensed. As soon as they came in, the three of them felt refreshed, as if they had taken a powerful pill. In this environment, even a pig can practice to become an immortal, right? Listening to Xiaolu's guidance, the three of them entered the state of practice in their own ways. The younger sister Xiaojing is the most standard good student. According to the strict requirements of the tree demon Xiaolu, she began to practice the basic qi training formula. Brother Wen is more playful. He likes telekinesis even more. So he combined qi training and telekinesis, absorbing spiritual energy to enhance telekinesis. That is, because there is really too much spiritual energy, it will actively send it up when someone absorbs it. Brother Wen actually succeeded. What should the telekinesis that absorbs spiritual energy be called? Spiritual thought? Immortal thought? Xiaoming was divided into two. Yin Xiaoming controlled Xiaoming's original body and practiced the authentic qi training formula like his sister. Lu Xiaoming controlled the mind beast clone Xiahe to open his mind. Under the special guidance of Xiaolu, he absorbed the spiritual energy and cultivated the demonic energy. Not only the three of them, Xiaolu also devoted himself to cultivation. She had never enjoyed such a happy cultivation environment. When she practiced with her grandmother in Lanruo Temple before, she never got such good resources. Not to mention her, even her grandmother had never enjoyed such treatment. Even the fairyland might not be comparable to this place, right? Xiao Hong practiced in the 100 Ghosts box. The breath of death there was super strong, and the cultivation conditions were even better than those in Guangmingding. She didn't want to come out. It was not just them who really enjoyed it. The 100 ghosts in the 100 Ghosts box were also getting stronger little by little. There were also several residents in Guangmingding. The three surviving ratmen and one lizardman were also passively absorbing spiritual energy. They didn't understand Chinese, so they didn't learn how to practice. But just passively absorbing spiritual energy like this was also good for them. Also nourished by spiritual energy are Alice the Skeleton Blade and several other undead soldiers. They would have been better at absorbing the breath of death, but they are all physical entities and cannot squeeze into the 100 Ghosts box, so they have to absorb spiritual energy outside. The effect will not be too bad. Even all the other items stored in Guangmingding are passively absorbing spiritual energy. I really don't know what changes will happen to them after absorbing spiritual energy. After those medicinal materials and elixirs absorb spiritual energy, it is estimated that the efficacy will be enhanced. Those flying swords, alchemy furnaces, magic weapons, talismans, and even the cup of life may be more useful after absorbing spiritual energy. Probably. But what about those books, antique calligraphy, and paintings, gold and silver jewelry, as well as the Rebel 1.0 mecha and laser sword? Will they become spirits? On the contrary, the egg given by Yujian Guanghan Zheojias who would be good if it absorbs more spiritual energy. I hope the animals will not be too fierce after hatching. This kind of cultivation feels really good. Moreover, facing such a rich spiritual energy, Xiaoming felt that the harm of weightlessness was not worth mentioning at all. The three of them had been practicing in Guangmingding for 2 nights and 1 day. It was not until the morning of Friday, June 17 that the three of them left Guangmingding reluctantly. What is so good about the blessed land? Just look at the results of the three people's practice. Xiaojing has practiced to the 6th level of qi training with great momentum. She is 2 levels stronger than Xiaoming, who is at the 4th level of qi training. People will die if they compare themselves with others, and goods will be thrown away if they are compared with others. When the brother and sister are compared, the difference in their qualifications is obvious at a glance. Xiaoming wanted to cry but had no tears. The most annoying thing is that Xiao Jing'er still hugged his arm and coaxed him like a child. In fact, she was just showing off. Brother, be good, don't be angry. Although you are a little stupid, a little old, a little fat. 500 words omitted here. It's okay that Xiao Jing'er is better than me. After all, this girl has been better than me at any stage since she was a child, and now she is even stronger than Xiaoming now. Xiaoming is actually used to her beating. It's a happy thing that his sister is better than him. But if even this fat guy Zhang Wen surpasses himself, it's really unbearable. Am I not as good as him? After 2 nights and 1 day of practice, Brother Wen actually perfectly integrated his spiritual energy and telekinesis. Now it should be called spiritual telekinesis. His spiritual telekinesis has reached the stage equivalent to the 5th level of basic Qi training. Is even this fat guy a genius? Not only did Xiaoming's main body only reach the 4th level of Qi training. Even the clone Xiao He, who imitated Zhang Wen's spiritual telekinesis, only practiced to the 3rd level. Xiao He wasted a little time. Green Xiaoming originally wanted to practice demonic energy, but he couldn't practice it at all. This brain hole failed. Later, he turned to Zhang Wen to learn from him and practice spiritual power. Therefore, he has just practiced to level 3. Of course, Xiaoming's various supernatural powers are beyond the reach of these two people. But just from the growth of these 2 nights and 1 day, both of them are better than me. His talent is not as good as his sister, and his persistence in spiritual power is not as good as Brother Wen. The only thing that can comfort me is that Silver Xiaoming is level 4, Green Xiaoming is level 3, and the total is 7 levels, which is a little higher than them. What? You said that the original body was already a level 1 Qi refiner? No, I made a mistake at the beginning. It must be like this. Such a big improvement is also due to the excessive richness of the spiritual energy in Guangmingding. At the same time, it is also because the 3 people are too low in level. It is easier to grow. Let alone the 3 of them. Even those orcs and Alice, even if they didn't practice at all, the spiritual energy in their bodies was almost at the level of level 1 Qi training. It won't be so easy to improve so quickly in the future. In order to congratulate the 3 people on their successful Qi training, Xiaoming took the initiative to make a delicious meal for everyone to celebrate. Unexpectedly, this was the first time Zhang Wen ate Xiaoming's special food. Xiaoming used to be so frugal. Only Xiao Jing'er had eaten it. He ate it less often. How could it be Zhang Wen's turn? After eating the food strengthened by dual source energy, Brother Wen really cried bitterly, lamenting that the previous 30 or 40 years were wasted. Xiaoming Ming, you are so unrefined. I have known you for so many years, and there is such a good thing, but you only gave it to me today. Xiaoming Ming. You. Xiaoming was speechless. He couldn't tell the truth. I can't bear to give it to you, that would be too hurtful. Only Xiao Jing'er said bluntly, it's good to have something for you to eat, but can't you shut up? If it were up to me, I shouldn't have let you know. Brine is like tofu, one thing conquers another. As soon as Xiao Jing'er spoke, Zhang Wen immediately raised his hands in surrender and begged for mercy. In fact, Xiao Jing'er and Xiaoming knew the real reason. Xiaoming's energy increased recently. His previous superpowers were too little and indeed not enough. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 252. There is a difference between closeness and distance. Regarding Xiaoming's superpowers, Xiao Jing'er knew more clearly, while Fatty Zhang Wen knew much more vaguely. However, although Brother Wen doesn't know the details very well, he can probably guess a little bit. Besides, Zhang Wen still understands his brother's personality. Of course, a few casual complaints are necessary. This is the nature of Zhang Wen's character, so he complained casually. Secondly, there is milk for crying children. Under the cute attack from brother Wen's sad little eyes. Xiaoming was disgusted and promised that the three of them would often add meals like this in the future. Brother Wen won a great victory. After finishing their meal, the three of them hurriedly logged into the game. When I practiced in Guangmingding before, the environment was so comfortable. The three of them never thought about the game. Now that they have left Guangmingding, the three of them finally remembered. Oh my god. After such a long time, so many things have to be delayed in the game. For these three people, cultivating immortality may be a big deal, but they will never put down all other things just to cultivate immortality. It is really difficult for modern people to concentrate. Even for the sake of cultivating immortality. Although their mentality is not in line with the idea of brave and diligent cultivation of immortality. But it partially conforms to the concept of quiet and inaction in cultivating immortality. This will have a profound impact on their future cultivation path. Sister and brother Wen are very worried about the progress of the game because they do not have intelligent programs. Can't afford it? Only Xiaoming is okay, he has 4 smart programs to help him. Normal things will not be delayed. But it's hard to talk about big things, and Xiaoming felt a little uneasy. Unfortunately, the time was only 6:15, and the game wasn't open yet. Xiaoming doesn't want to enter a large secret realm for the time being. I had to play the mini-game again. To say that what Xiaoming really likes to play, it must be large-scale secret realms with plots. However, as you play with the large-scale secret realm, you will easily be attracted by the plot. As a result, I became addicted. It might take 6 or 7 hours to reach a secret place. It was fun to play in the secret realm, but the magic planet was delayed. This is the case this time. Forget about the time lost due to cultivating immortals. How can this be called a delay? Don't be too biased about your values. But before Xiaoming summoned his sister and brother Wen to practice immortality together, there were still 7 or 8 hours of game time, and Xiaoming spent it in the hunter's secret realm. Therefore, Xiaoming's absence from the magic planet was much longer than that of his sisters. Xiaoming could have completely suspended the secret realm. But because I was addicted, I played it for several hours at a stretch. Therefore, normal game time is delayed. This is simply not necessary. It's okay to wait until after 8 p.m. to continue playing Hunter's Secret Realm. Why waste time on gaming? Xiaoming is a little too arbitrary. To avoid this kind of scheduling confusion, Xiaoming specially warned Mao Mao. From now on, you must remind yourself every time at 8 a.m., 8 p.m., 12 noon, or midnight. Try to arrange your time reasonably. The mini-game that comes randomly this time is Knights of the Round Table. It seems that if this game is expanded into a medium or large secret realm, it will be fine. But Magic Planet still arranges it to be a small game. After logging in, Xiaoming chose 2 characters, King Arthur with a sword, and Lancelot with a scimitar. This earthly arcade game has a lot of tips and tricks in it. For example, blocking can resist almost any damage, cutting something open in a certain way will give you a higher chance of getting a wand or other treasure. Without these skills, the game will be more difficult to play. Originally, fighting games like this have always been Xiaoming's shortcomings. But Xiaoming is very different today. After all, he is also a man who has downloaded a complete set of melee combat techniques. When Xiaoming played Knights of the Round Table, he didn't even use weapons often. Both characters face the enemy empty-handed. The combat effect is actually quite good. Probably the enemies in the secret realm are used to killing each other with opponents with weapons, and they are a little bit incapable of fighting when faced with unarmed and agile guys. Although general equipment, general skills, and various supernatural abilities are not allowed to be used in many games. But there is one thing that the system cannot ban. That is Xiaoming's source energy. I really couldn't stand it, so Xiaoming strengthened everything he got before using it. Moreover, Xiaoming also habitually uses Yuan and Ning. Of course, when used this time, telekinesis was banned by the game system. It made Xiaoming feel uncomfortable all over. So he actually invented the technique of using Yuan He Ning directly with source energy without any teacher. The circle makes Xiaoming's character immune to sneak attacks, while the condensation allows Xiaoming to see the enemy's weaknesses. What's very interesting is that sometimes when Xiaoming meets the conditions, Ning will also mark the special item that can produce good things. At first, Xiaoming didn't quite understand the meaning of this mark. After a few more experiments, I figured it out. There will be more good things to come. With so many advantages, Xiaoming's two characters were upgraded very quickly. I upgraded all my armor to gold level early on. Inspired by the fact that source energy can directly use Yuan and Ning, Xiaoming also experimented in the game whether he could use source energy to activate other skills. Unfortunately, most of them are not possible. In theory, source energy can be converted into any kind of energy, so any skill should be able to be directly activated. But there is also the problem of Xiaoming's personal ability. The deeper Xiaoming's understanding of a skill, the easier it is to directly activate it with source energy. Now, in addition to Yuan and Ning, the only skill that Xiaoming can activate with source energy is undead magic. Originally, it should be possible to subdue the mind beast, but Xiaoming has just upgraded the mind ability of subduing the mind beast, and the skill proficiency after the upgrade is not enough. The Knights of the Round Table is a small game, and the bodies of the killed enemy soldiers will disappear automatically in a short time. Xiaoming can only use Death Harvest before the body disappears. But it will not produce death breath and bones. Instead, gold coins are often harvested. Soon, the undead soldiers were harvested. It seems that this world does not support skeleton soldiers. So all the harvested are zombies. In fact, the corpse stood up again and became Xiaoming's subordinates to continue fighting. A little bit makes a lot, and after a period of time, the zombie army led by Xiaoming has exceeded 100. This is very bullying. There are only dozens of enemies at most at a time. How can you fight them? And at this time, Xiaoming also mastered the means to deal with the boss, close combat, judo, and wrestling, so that he can never use proper moves. In this way, it is a natural thing to pass the level easily. The Knights of the Round Table was an arcade game that Lazy House liked more in the past, but I was not good at it. Put it in the book to commemorate those years. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 253. Round Table Knights Armor *2, Universal Equipment Skin. Can be used in Magic Planet game and most secret realms. Players can freely choose the skin's invisibility or visibility. Effect of use: attached to the player's full body protective equipment, it provides a defense bonus to this type of equipment. The bonus percentage ranges from 10% - 160%. Every time the player logs in, the Round Table Knight's armor will be refreshed to level 1. Then it will be upgraded as the number of enemies killed by the player accumulates. Up to level 16. If this were modern society, Xiaoming's character would only wear a few pieces of cloth clothes. Even if a 160% bonus is accumulated, it would be the same as nothing. This skin will only work after Xiaoming wears decent defensive equipment. After completing the Round Table Knights minigame, the system gave a universal skin reward. It's quite interesting. This minigame is not played in vain. This skin can provide a bonus to defensive equipment, which is quite good. Upgrading to level 16 can increase the defense power by more than 1.5 times. Very useful skin. The trouble is that the armor level will be refreshed every time you log in, so you have to accumulate it again every time. Isn't this a hassle? After reading the instructions, Xiaoming decided to ignore it. Unless there are special circumstances, there is no need to accumulate to level 16. You can't delay your normal game progress because of this effect. The real fun is the invisibility and visibility functions of this skin. If you choose to make this skin visible in the Magic Planet, you will definitely be mistaken for a melee profession by others. It's too deceptive. This deception can also be used in various secret realms. And the golden appearance of the skin after it is upgraded to a high level is enough to make many people envious. What's more interesting is that Xiaoming was given 2 sets of this armor. Xiaoming used 2 characters to pass the level at the same time, so it is reasonable to be given 2 sets of armor. In this way, not only can Xiaoming wear 1 set himself, but he can also give Xiaohei a set. Although Xiaohei doesn't wear equipment, there is no practical effect of putting on armor. However, if he chooses to show up, it seems that he can conceal Xiaohei's identity as the Chimera Queen. He looks like a big man over 2 meters tall in full armor. Although he is still a little too tall, he is not so dazzling in the game. At 8 o'clock, Yin Xiaoming and Lu Xiaoming logged into different characters respectively and went around to clean up the mess. It happened that both skins were used. Lanzhou City, although only a small city, is also an important stronghold of the Song dynasty in this area. After Yin Xiaoming logged in, he found that the explorer had done a lot of things under the control of the intelligent program in the past 2 days. First of all, the explorer is already level 2. Of course, you can learn new level 2 skills, priest skills, swordsman skills, crossbowman skills, and alchemist skills. As a small city and a military city, Lanzhou City will not lack senior instructors in various professional unions. But under the advice of Mr. Guo, the explorer only learned the level 2 skills of the priest and alchemist. Why not learn the level 2 skills of the other 2 professions? In the words of Mr. Guo, it is called biting off more than you can chew. If it is a military type, the more skills you learn, the better. But if it is a free NPC or player, the selective learning of skills is very important. Because the game has a hidden setting, when the number of skills of a player exceeds a certain limit, the upgrade of any skill will become more difficult than the normal upgrade. This is the game system's interpretation of biting off more than it can chew. Take a normal player of a combat profession as an example. At level 1 and level 2, the more skills a player has in his profession, the better. At this time, the skills of players of the same profession will actually help each other grow. That is, the proficiency required to upgrade each skill will be reduced accordingly. After level 4 and level 5, the branches of the profession become very broad, and there are also many skills that can be learned. At this time, players should not actually learn all the skills they can learn. Otherwise, it will cause difficulties in the growth of each skill. And as the number of skills of players increases, the difficulty will also increase exponentially. A large number of players will suffer as a result. Unless they have reached a certain level, like Xiaoming, they have a mentor with good connections to help them. Or they have high comprehension and discover problems early. Stop learning skills without limit. Or the player's comprehension is very high, and he has practiced various skills to a very high level in reality. Then the game can't stop them from showing their strength. But this is difficult to do. Think about the character data at level 4 and level 5. That is already many times higher than that of normal humans. Even for reincarnation players, it is difficult to reach the corresponding level in reality. In reality, if the player's physical data is not enough, it will be difficult to even use the skills of this level. How can you practice to a high level? I really don't know if the setting of the Magic Planet game is a good intention to guide players. Or is it a big conscience? I believe that most players, if they know this hidden setting, will definitely raise their middle fingers to pay tribute to the game. This is also the explorer, who has won the jackpot in advance. This kind of mid-game hidden setting was triggered in the early stage of the game. No wonder, the characteristics of the ascetic profession allow explorers to have 4 professions at the same time and learn a large number of low-level skills. Since the ascetic monk has the characteristic of being compatible with different professions, he has a certain resistance to the hidden setting of biting off more than he can chew. However, this resistance is definitely limited. There has never been an ascetic monk who has 4 professions at level 2. Explorer. This is Scorpion Baba, unique. In fact, he can be a little arrogant. Therefore, Mr. Guo came to see his direct disciple. He personally taught him the principle of biting off more than he can chew. 2 days ago, when the master and the apprentice talked at night, Xiaoming remembered Mr. Guo's teachings. But at that time, he did not remember to set up Xiao Er and the others accordingly. This time, he found that the intelligence of the program is higher than he thought. They actually remembered Mr. Guo's teachings. According to Mr. Guo's suggestion, the explorer will focus on learning priests and alchemists. The priest's level 2 skill blessing consumes 20 mana points and increases the chance of high damage to the target soldier. Most of the priest's level 2 spells, the explorer has learned through the inheritance of the ascetic monk. This is an additional supplement. Among the jewelry that the diver bought from Emily, there was a jade necklace with a blessing spell. Xiaoming put it in Guangmingding and almost never used it. First, Xiaoming almost always won the battles in the adventure map. Second, even if he encountered danger, Xiaoming would not remember it. This situation often happened. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 254. For alchemists, the explorer has learned the first-level primary puppet repair, as well as the second-level primary puppet attack enhancement and primary puppet defense enhancement. The latter 2 skills, as the name implies, consume some materials, mana, and strength to temporarily increase the attack power/defense power of the puppet. Release range, 10 meters. However, the alchemy blueprints cannot be obtained from the professional mentor. Players must go to stores and other places to buy them. There is still a branch of the Huo's Chamber of Commerce in Lanzhou City. The scale is much larger than that of Qinhuoquan in Wushan Town. But the person in charge here, Huo Yingjia, and the shopkeeper Huo Yingying in Wushan Town are basically at the same level. There is no special difference between them. If there is a difference, it is that the name Huo Yingjia is much better than Huo Yingying. Of course, for the convenience of players, the explorer's worship level, contribution, etc. in the Huo's Chamber of Commerce are universal in all branches. Xiaoming bought the second first-level life potion formula and second-level trap blueprint at the Lanzhou branch of Huo's Chamber of Commerce. After the trap blueprint was carefully studied by the researcher, there was no surprise, and the researcher still gave him some experience as a cartographer. The explorer learned the blueprints of first-level life potion, second-level trap, and second-level stick orc puppet. Put the extra life potion in the backpack and prepare to find an opportunity to sell it. In the past 2 days, the intelligent program controlled the explorer and successfully completed various tasks in Lanzhou City. In fact, I also accidentally met Datang Barbecue 3 times, Datang Qin Kayan 1 time, and Datang Guanyu 1 time. These 3 people also have experience. After a few words of conversation, they found that it was the intelligent program that was controlling them. They were not interested in continuing to chat. The intelligent program also went through all the shops in Lanzhou City according to the explorer's habits. Together with the other 3 characters, a new trading channel was set up. In terms of rationality, it is even better than Xiaoming's own settings. Xiaoming is not the kind of person who strives for perfection. Basically, he will agree to the transaction after seeing that it is almost the same. The intelligent program will compare prices from 3 different vendors to find the most suitable transaction method. Xiaoming deeply doubted that Xiao Er and the others had become spirits. The following discovery seemed to prove this point. When Xiaoming was browsing the system records of the explorer, he found that the intelligent program had learned to practice skills at will. Improve skill proficiency. He would retain a certain amount of mana and strength. As long as he could use skills, he would use the corresponding skills at will. Xiaoming himself would not do this. He rarely thought of doing this. This is a trait that only professional players have. Among them, the most frequently used skills are healing and blessing, spells that can be released on friendly forces. Most of the NPCs in Lanzhou City are friendly forces, and there is no problem in healing and blessing them. Invisibly, a lot of business from the local Temple of Light was robbed. However, the Temple of Light in Lanzhou is also presided over by ascetics. It is easy to talk to family members. Therefore, the explorer's primary healing skill was trained by the intelligent program to the level of primary healing skill at 1. The healing effect has increased slightly. In this way, the skill maturity can actually be n several times. It is very likely that when it reaches a certain level, the spell effect will have a qualitative leap. Although the explorer came to Lanzhou City, he did not move his home here. Wushan Town is still the explorer's home for the time being. The explorer will participate in the task of exploring the mysterious cave again on the Monday after next. He will have to return to Wushan Town at that time. Therefore, the explorer is still living in the Temple of Light in Lanzhou City for the time being. As a direct disciple of Mr. Guo, food and accommodation are naturally free. Human relations are everywhere. After Xiaoming logged in, some things that the intelligent program has no power to do need to be handled by him personally. For example, the issue of recruiting mercenaries. This is Xiaoming's first character to be upgraded to level 2. It is also the first time to understand the rules for level 2 players to recruit mercenaries. Level 2 players cannot recruit all level 2 soldiers as mercenaries. Instead, they must recruit half of each level 1 and level 2. When going to battle, players can match them up at will. Explorers can send out 12 soldiers, and his green tent can store a total of 24 mercenaries. Originally, there were 12 first-level soldiers, 2 infantry, 2 archers, 2 mages, 2 priests, and 4 ascetics. In fact, explorers can hire up to 36 mercenaries. In that case, 12 of them must always follow the explorer around the map. Not very convenient. So Xiaoming decided to fill the tent. And there is no need to fire the original 12 first-level soldiers. In addition, it is enough to hire more second-level soldiers with the same configuration. It's just that infantry becomes swordsman, priest becomes priest, archer becomes crossbowman. Second-level archers can also hire longbowmen, but Xiaoming is more familiar with crossbowmen. Mages start to be classified at level 2, and there are 4 major categories of earth, fire, water, and wind. So Xiaoming hired 1 primary earth, fire, water, and wind mage each. For comprehensiveness. Therefore, Xiaoming only hired 2 second-level ascetics. The quota was taken by the mage. However, Xiaoming's first-class knight medal can also hire 2 second-level noble guards, so Xiaoming hired 2 second-level ascetics as guards. Explorers who have been promoted to second level can actually hire a shadow warrior. But Xiaoming already has 2 of these people who don't participate in battles and are only responsible for protecting themselves. They were specially assigned by the high-level ascetics. Those 2 are high-level people, probably level 4. With them, Xiaoming doesn't need to hire an extra level 2. The hiring fee for a level 2 soldier starts at 100 gold coins, which is a bit expensive. Save as much as you can. After reaching level 2, the explorer's backpack was replaced with a 100-slot backpack in the store in Lanzhou City. It is more convenient to do international trade. This is the work of the intelligent program. Xiaoming has Guangmingding himself, so he really doesn't want to change his backpack. It's a pity that the intelligent program can't start Guangmingding, otherwise he can even save the money for changing the backpack. This is too stingy. The explorer is Xiaoming's first character. In theory, when this character is upgraded to level 2, Xiaoming has the right to open the second character. However, Xiaoming already has 4 characters, and he is really too busy. There is no need to open it. Besides, even if Xiaoming wants to add a character, he can directly ask the nine-tailed fox for it. There is no need to do the task in the game. Adding a character is a hidden task in itself. It is not easy to do. Xiaoming doesn't like this task, but many players are doing it now. But a strange thing happened to the explorer. Xiaoming was very confused. It really troubled Xiaoming for a while. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 255. When Yin Xiaoming controlled the explorer to hire soldiers in the Lanzhou City military camp. There was a level 3 soldier NPC. Xiaoming looked into his eyes and felt very familiar. From the other person's eyes, it can be seen that the way he looked at Xiaoming was also a little different. But the situation at that time was not suitable for the two to talk. Originally, this matter should have gone with the wind. Just like seeing a beautiful woman on the street, it is very likely that you will never see her again in the future. But this feeling of déjà vu actually appeared again. This time it appeared on a passerby NPC. Xiaoming took the initiative to stop him and invited him to the restaurant to drink 2 pots of wine. The taverns in Lanzhou City are much more upscale than those in Biang Village and Wushan Town. All kinds of decorations are more luxurious, and the styles of wine and food are also complicated and varied. Wine and food account for a large proportion of Xiaoming's international trade, which is something he never thought of before. The special flavors of each race are passed on to the human race through Xiaoming's different roles. They are very popular in the Sea tribe, orcs, elves, and even the undead. The difference is that the tastes preferred by the major races are not the same. The human race dares to eat basically everything, and they also like to be ingenious and deep process. Xinluo City, the barbecue of the orcs is usually half-cooked, but the meat is rare. The human race processes it and it becomes a real delicacy. The Sea tribe basically eats raw food, but it is all deep sea food, which is actually more precious. Take it to the human race and cook it, and it can be sold at a high price. The deeply processed food is not only liked by the human race, but also by the orcs and the Sea tribe themselves. Xiaoming makes huge profits as soon as he resells it. It's a pity that the quantity is a bit small. Xiaoming's trading share with the orcs and the Sea tribe is very limited. Compared with the secondary processed meat, the orcs prefer wine, which is even more popular among the orcs. The orcs have no love for other exquisite side dishes. But the orcs particularly like any food made by humans, and the researcher's transformation Saeed made a lot of money with this. The elves didn't like cooked food, let alone meat. However, due to long-term contact with humans, a considerable number of elves have accepted human diet. In addition, the elves also like the specialties of the Sea tribe. After all, they have never eaten them before and they are relatively novel. As for the food of the undead tribe full of the smell of death, it cannot be sold to other races. However, they are interested in the food of other races. They can eat it by adding a little smell of death. I don't know how they taste it. It is not Xiaoming's patent to make money through cross-regional, cross-national, and cross-race trade through multiple characters. At the beginning of the Magic Planet, someone got the second character earlier than Xiaoming. There are about 2 types of such people, the second generation of rich people, the second generation of officials, or the top masters of professional games. However, these people generally do not use 2 characters to trade and make a profit. The second generation does not lack this little money. The masters are exploring the entire game in the early stage and have no time to make this money. But most of them can definitely think of this. Nowadays, players have gradually upgraded to level 2. Their subordinates are also among them, and they are in the front. These people will divert a certain number of players to join this cross-border trade. Of course, they can't catch up with Xiaoming's trading volume for the time being. After all, Xiaoming has 4 characters, and the diver among them is still a hidden character, the Sea Clan. So Xiaoming's advantage will continue for a while. Until the merchants among the life-type players rise, Xiaoming's business will become a small fight. In addition, those players who have a second character at the beginning have also upgraded to level 2, and now they can complete tasks to obtain a third character. Xiaoming's advantage is no longer very obvious. Now is the era when players begin to change the situation of the game. Of course, those players who really pursue combat effectiveness generally concentrate their characters together, which will gain a lot of advantages in battle. If you encounter an enemy that you can't beat with a swordsman, you can immediately switch to another character to deal with it with a magician, and if it doesn't work, you can try another thief. Experts can even complete some impossible battles and defeat some impossible bosses by constantly switching roles. This is a technique that only real experts can play. If ordinary players do this, the biggest possibility is that they will die. The whole game will really start after the player group enters the second stage. Xiaoming has not felt this atmosphere yet. Yin Xiaoming led the passerby NPC to a private room in the restaurant, ordered a few dishes and 2 pots of wine, and started chatting. As a result, after chatting for a long time, he found that he got nothing. He is just an ordinary free NPC, a combat professional second-level spearman. Now he is just a guard in a store. There is no sign that he has any connection with the explorer. No clues to any tasks were found on him. This feeling of déjà vu is so real. If he is a player, it may be because Xiaoming has seen him in person, so he feels familiar. But he is also an NPC. This matter is very strange, but there is no clue. Xiaoming had to exchange contact information with the other party and go their separate ways. The explorer is at level 2, and the focus of development seems to be shifted to the strategic map. This has delayed a lot of time. Yin Xiaoming controls the explorer and goes straight to the Temple of Light. Let's switch and see what the diver logged in by Green Xiaoming has done. The diver was invited by the mermaid Emily to go to the shipwreck again. And the octopus brother Bobby also came. Originally, Bobby was very timid, so he only dared to go to the shipwreck once a month. But after seeing the diver use the Naga 6-arm sword technique, the originally timid Bobby's confidence surged, and his favorability at 20. He felt that with such a powerful diver brother, nothing else was scary. So this time Bobby took the initiative to discuss with Emily and also participated in this adventure. Because Bobby admired the Naga clan very much, especially the sword technique. Therefore, his favorability for the diver increased by 1 level. So the shipwreck exploration, which was originally once a month, was increased to once a week. And if Emily and Bobby are there at the same time, the effect of the exploration is 1 add 1 2. The diver's exploration times will not be wasted. Emily did not admire the diver's use of the Naga sword technique as much as little Bobby. She just saw it for fun, and her favorability only increased by 5 points. It was because the diver had been helping her look after the store these days and had accompanied her to a secret place again that his favorability increased by another 5 points. A total of 80 points of favorability, higher than Lu Xiaomei. Second only to Han Dong and Lan Yura. But these things were done by the intelligent program. Xiaoming was speechless. Was this considered an intelligent program helping him pick up girls? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 256. The battle between sharks and dolphins a few days ago is a thing of the past. The blue seabed has returned to its former harmony. Various marine creatures have reappeared in the sea area here, as if the battle a few days ago had never happened. The bodies of the dead on both sides had long been eaten clean, leaving only countless large fish skeletons half buried on the seabed. Many small marine creatures use these skeletons as shelters and toys. In the distance, there is also a team of sea soldiers from Grey Rock Town, wandering around nearby. I wonder if they are patrolling or treasure hunting. The three divers and the others did not meet each other. They just appeared within the range of the green Xiaoming circle and were sensed. Seeing these skeletons, Xiaoming's hands itched again, and he launched a death harvest on the battlefield in front of him today. And the feeling of releasing the death harvest this time is very different, because this time Xiaoming did not use magic power and death breath to launch the death harvest. Instead, it was directly launched using source energy. Almost 1/4 of the green source energy was consumed at once. The disadvantage of using source energy directly is that you are not sure about it. If you are not careful, you will use too much. It is like adding salt to the pot when cooking. If you pour it directly from the salt bottle, you may pour too much by mistake. It is easier to control if you pour it into a spoon or the palm of your hand first. Xiaoming used too much source energy at once. He originally planned to harvest only a small area, but the harvest area was a bit too large. It actually covered the entire battlefield. Since the battle did not last long, the divers still harvested a lot of death breath and bones. Even got a few teeth. In terms of arms, the undead sea tribe appeared on the seabed of this area for the first time. There are more than 30 skeleton sharks and skeleton dolphins of level 0-3. There are also 14 or 15 ghost sharks and ghost dolphins of level 0-3, zombie sharks or zombie dolphins did not appear, and it seems that the meat on their bodies was not saved. This is not the most interesting thing. The most interesting thing is that many marine creatures that have been dead for a while have also caught up with this death harvest bus. Dozens of other types of sea creatures appeared. There were turtles, squids, octopuses, shellfish, snails, and various fish, many of which Xiaoming could not distinguish. In short, there were many kinds, and there were few duplicates. It was as if he suddenly entered an aquarium, and all kinds of sea creatures appeared. Unfortunately, except for skeletons, there were ghosts. It was not very ornamental. Otherwise, tickets could be sold. The undead soldiers produced by the death harvest of divers, even if they were not recruited as mercenaries by divers, their camps were naturally sea creatures. They did not need to eat, and they were almost harmless to any creatures in the sea. The heartless marine creatures quickly accepted these strange guys, or ignored them. You don't come to eat me, and you can't be eaten by me, so why should I care about you? There are old and young people at home, and they are waiting for me to find food to feed them. It's a waste of you. This is the voice of most creatures. Some unburdened marine creatures, full of food, became curious about these new species and swam over to interact with the undead sea creatures. This included the patrol team of the sea creatures in the distance. They were intelligent creatures, but the sea creatures had rarely heard of the undead army. Not to mention seeing them. So at first glance, they didn't quite know what these skeletons and ghosts were. One of the shrimp soldiers even stabbed a skeleton shark with a fork. Fortunately, Xiaoming had been paying attention to the situation and stopped the skeleton shark's automatic counterattack in time. Although they were in the same camp, they would still automatically counterattack if attacked. Xiaoming stopped it in time, making the sea creatures think that these things were really harmless. Then there was no need to fight. The team of sea creatures discussed and decided to go back to report the strange scene here to the superior. The sea creature patrol team in Greystone Town left, and the diver was just about to take a breath. Suddenly, a huge pressure came, and the diver fell into a coma directly. However, Green Xiaoming's mental power was still strong enough. After a few seconds, he woke up. Ho ho ho, Naga boy, I didn't expect your mental power to be good, a voice sounded in the diver's mind. Xiaoming wanted to speak, but found that he couldn't make any sound at all. Ho ho ho, I am talking to you with my mind, and you can't, just listen. Can you nod or shake your head? The diver nodded blankly, knowing that he had met a high person. Because he had seen the surrounding scene clearly. The sea area was still the same as the original sea area, but there were more than a dozen large pillars, no, more than a dozen huge tentacles. These tentacles were too familiar, clearly the tentacles of the ancient giant octopus guarding outside the shipwreck. Isn't that the shipwreck? Xiaoming habitually looked to one side, but saw that it was the shipwreck. This ancient giant octopus not only came by itself, but also brought the entire shipwreck. Is this your family's business? Xiaoming actually understood a little bit. This octopus must be bound to the shipwreck by some kind of magic. It's just that he can't tell whether he is willing or forced, whether it is someone else's magic or he did it himself. If the shipwreck is bound to him, and he can move it at will, then this treasure may disappear at any time. Then why did this ancient giant octopus appear here this time? And actively communicate with me? The answer came immediately. I saw those tentacles restlessly fiddling with the unconscious undead sea creatures. Did you create these undead? The diver nodded. He thought to himself that it was for this. Ho ho ho, I didn't expect that the Naga clan would produce such a genius as you. Come, tell me what's going on. I wanted to say it, but I couldn't make a sound. Just as I was complaining, a blue light covered the diver's head. Through this blue light, the giant octopus taught the diver how to communicate with mental power. Spiritual communication : level active skill. Using this skill, you can directly transmit the words you want to say to the target's mind through mental power. The skill range is 100 meters. Simply put, this skill allows players to speak with mental power, but they cannot explore the thoughts in other people's minds. It also consumes a hidden data of the player mental power. Xiaoming thought the giant octopus would cast a spell to allow the diver to speak, but he didn't expect it to teach him such an amazing skill. But where should he use mental communication? The tentacles. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 257. When Emily and Bobby woke up, they found that they were already in the shipwreck. They didn't think carefully about why they were unconscious and what happened. When they saw the shipwreck, the two little ones shouted excitedly and dived into the shipwreck. Are these two kids so careless? Of course not. It's just that the octopus boss is too powerful. He easily influenced the thinking of the two little ones, so that they would never seriously think about what just happened. The ignorant are not only fearless, but also happy. Seeing the happy and busy figures of the mermaid girl and the little octopus in the shipwreck, Xiaoming said with a little envy. What happened before? It was just a conversation. Just when the diver learned spiritual communication, but didn't know what to communicate with. As if knowing Xiaoming's doubts, a tentacle stretched out from a distance, and the tip turned into the image of a cute little octopus. Lifelike and naive. The meaning is very clear. Please communicate with this little octopus. This is the first time Xiaoming communicated with another life with his mental power. The process is a bit like two gunmen shooting at each other. Integrate the words you want to say into mental power, wrap them into bullets, and shoot at each other. A shoots B, which means he says a word to B. B shoots back, which means he sends the answer to A. The whole conversation process seems to be very lively. In fact, the gap between the two sides is too big. Basically, the big octopus is asking questions and giving instructions to the diver. The diver has few opportunities to ask questions. However, the big octopus also knows what questions the diver may have at this time. So when he speaks, he also says all the questions that can be answered. Every time the big octopus sends a mental bullet to the diver, it contains a lot of words. And the diver's reply is roughly, yeah, this is it. The matter is actually simple. It's just that he found it very interesting to see the diver create these sea creatures. So he moved his family here and watched these sea creatures as a pastime. This place is much closer than the previous shipwreck, which actually saves the divers time to go back and forth. And when this ancient giant octopus settled here, this place immediately became a forbidden area. No sea creatures could enter without his permission. Greystone Town has an extra layer of protection. He supported the fact that the diver, a Naga, learned the magic of the dead. Learning makes people progress. He just warned the diver that it is better to use less undead magic in front of other sea creatures, so as not to cause unnecessary trouble. So the undead soldiers harvested by the diver were left by him to guard his house. Of course, he would not take advantage of the younger generation for nothing. He gave the diver several rewards. First, the diver's exploration time in the shipwreck was increased. Second, the 14-0 level octopus coolies in the diver's tent were directly upgraded to 1 level long-range soldiers octopus slingers. The attack frequency is 8 times that of ordinary long-range. And according to Xiaoming's check, they are all level 1, level 20 soldiers. If the diver is promoted to level 2, they will probably be promoted to level 2 as well. Third, he gave the diver a choice. A. He could help the diver grow 4 arms in advance and become a level 1, 6-armed Naga. 8 arms still need to be at level 6. B. He could give the diver 3 more glass bottles, each of which still has a model of a small boat. He had given Xiaoming one of these things before, and it is still gathering dust in Guangmingding. Today, Xiaoming finally had the opportunity to ask, what is the use of this glass bottle? The little octopus at the front of the tentacle had a question mark on its face, which looked quite cute. Then there was a look of regret and contempt, as if it was mocking the diver for not knowing how to use the glass bottle. The tentacle flipped over and took out the glass bottle that was given to the diver before. Omega, the diver was in a state of confusion. Big brother, can you please stop taking things out of my pocket all the time, and you are taking things out from Guangmingding. The big octopus didn't take the diver's little depression to heart, and pulled the lid of the glass bottle. The ship model inside fell on the seabed. Then the model grew and expanded rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon it turned into a medium-sized battleship. A pirate flag with a skull pattern was hung on the battleship. The diver is the owner of this battleship. The system naturally gave an explanation. The following is a simple explanation. The details are not listed one by one. Flying Dutchman, sealed intermediate battleship attributes, diving, undead. Captain, David Diozzi, sealed second level undead pirate hero. Crew, sealed 300 undead pirates of levels 1-4. The captain was wrapped by the octopus tentacles, taken off the ship, and placed in front of the diver. How does this guy look like an undead? There are octopus tentacles all over his face and body. The left hand is a crab claw. This is definitely a sea creature. Of course, you can't judge a person by appearance alone. Xiaoming did feel a strong breath of death from him. Not only him, but the entire warship exudes the breath of death. Even the warship can almost be regarded as a huge undead army. Wait, David Diozzi, such a familiar name, I seem to have heard of it before. Such a distinctive name, Xiaoming certainly won't forget it. Oh, by the way, he still has this guy's heart in his hand. This time, before the big octopus took action, Xiaoming took David Diozzi's heart out of Guangmingding himself. The system immediately popped up a selection prompt, what does the player plan to do with David Diozzi? 1. Completely release David Diozzi. David Diozzi will recover all his strength. Players can gain David Diozzi's friendship and rewards. 2. Take David Diozzi as a subordinate. Get 50% of his monthly income. David Diozzi will recover a certain strength. David Diozzi's rank is equal to the player's rank add 2, or equal to his original highest strength. 3. Take David Diozzi as a direct hero. David Diozzi's strength is equal to the player's rank add 1. The Flying Dutchman of the battleship has been bound to David Diozzi's soul. The battleship's rank is synchronized with David Diozzi's rank. Xiao Ming really wanted to punch himself twice. The glass bottle that sealed the battleship and David Diozzi's heart were always kept in his guangmingding. They were less than 10 meters away from each other. Xiao Ming had never noticed this. He only needed to pull out the cork. Why didn't he think of it? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 258. I remember when Xiao Ming left the shipwreck for the first time, he still complained that the octopus boss was too stingy. He took away his medium-sized ship to play with, but only gave him a bottle with a model. This is not equal at all. At that time, I thought the boss was collecting tolls. Now I finally understand that he saw that Xiao Ming had the heart of David Diozzi, so he gave him and the ship to the diver. Flying Dutchman, listening to this very ridiculous name, you know that this warship should not be an ordinary one. Speaking of the tiny European country of the Netherlands, can it fly? The Netherlands can exist until now without being annexed by the surrounding countries. It is entirely because the Chinese countries hope that Europe will be as scattered as possible. So behind the Netherlands is a new country among the Chinese countries. It is basically a glove of the Chinese in Europe. Of course, now through the strange man of the far island, Xiao Ming probably knows it. The tiny country of the Netherlands once dominated the great navigation period in another time and space. It's just that the inherent impression in my heart is still hard to change. But now, this seemingly powerful warship belongs to me. Let alone the Flying Dutchman, Xiao Ming also likes the Flying Henan. It is very likely that he likes it more. This warship is in a sealed state like David Diozzi. The diver is facing 3 choices given by the system. Give David Diozzi all the freedom, which is a way to fish for big fish with a long line. Keep the opportunity to conquer him in the future, and let him expand his power with the strongest strength now, and then take over in the future. This idea is too naive. Too naive. Is it so easy to conquer a large force? The difficulty of that task is estimated to be sky high. It is estimated that even the most powerful professional unions dare not take this route. Of course, there is another route to release David Diozzi. That is to join David Diozzi's power. If you do that, it will be very easy to climb to a high position and learn advanced skills. Even learn David Diozzi's unique skills. This route is much simpler. It is also more feasible. This is a gameplay with the goal of enhancing personal strength. As for the other 2 options, it is more cost-effective to take him under your command. David will be stronger and will get more benefits. If you take him as a direct subordinate, it will be a bit troublesome. First of all, David's strength will be relatively weak. Secondly, the diver has not become a hero yet. In other words, under normal circumstances, David can only be raised in vain before the diver is upgraded to level 2 and enters the strategic map. And it's not just him. The 300 crew members on the Flying Dutchman have to be raised by the diver in vain. Can you afford it? It seems that taking him under your command is the best choice. But Xiao Ming thought about it again and again, and still took David Diozzi as a direct hero. The main reason is that this guy's life energy is too dark. I'm afraid that letting him go will harm many people. In this way, complete release, or taking him under your command is not considered. David Diozzi must be tied to me. When the diver made this choice, David Diozzi, the Flying Dutchman, and the 300 crew members on board disappeared. They will not reappear until the diver reaches the strategic map. Xiao Ming thought he could put them back into the glass bottle. It seems that this is a one-time use. What a pity. If it can be used repeatedly, Xiao Ming will have a fleet that can move on land. since David Diozzi has been taken in as a direct subordinate. As for the choice given to the diver by the octopus, Xiao Ming of course decisively chose to ask for 3 glass bottles with warships. It would be best if there were people on these 3 warships, so that a fleet could be formed directly. Xiao Ming was overwhelmed by desire at this time, and he had never thought about what to do if he was not conquered by you. David Diozzi was conquered because Xiao Ming got his heart, and other people had no handle in his hand. However, Xiao Ming felt that since the octopus gave these 3 bottles to the diver, it must have a purpose. Maybe he can really be conquered. The octopus boss also specifically reminded the diver that he dared to release the Dutchman from the seabed because the Dutchman could dive. The other 3 warships should wait until the diver reaches the land and finds a place with water before releasing them. They must not be released from the seabed, or the ships might be crushed into pieces by the sea water. After giving so many benefits, the octopus boss felt that it was enough. He no longer paid attention to the diver. The tentacles holding the little octopus head were also retracted. In fact, the real reason was that the creatures in the ocean that he had knocked unconscious gradually woke up. He wanted to use the undead sea creatures he got from the diver to play games with these marine creatures. He was too lazy to pay attention to the diver. The diver saw that Emily and Bobby had also woken up, and he also had no intention of chatting with this ancient giant octopus. Accompanying the 2 little guys, he entered the shipwreck site. Now Guangmingding can already carry large ships. Every ship is money. Green Xiaoming switched back and forth between the role of diver and the informant. One by one, he placed the wreckage of large warships in the swamp near Pingnan City. Only then did Xiaoming feel the effort. When he loaded the medium-sized ships into Guangmingding, he had to interrupt them before he could put them in. But when I put it in, I didn't feel any effort. It was almost put in as soon as I thought about it. It's different for large ships, which are really too big. Xiaoming only realized how he usually put things into Guangmingding. It turns out that he has to release his telekinesis first, and then wrap the items he wants to put in Guangmingding as a whole. Only then can he put it in smoothly. I didn't notice it before because the process was too fast. It was done in a flash. Xiaoming didn't feel it at all. Now a large warship is tens of thousands of cubic meters. It takes a certain amount of time to wrap it with telekinesis, so Xiaoming noticed this step. And if there are soldiers and creatures in the wrapped things, they can't be put in. Those small seafood that can be eaten don't count. This is a setting in the game, which prohibits players from using such large spaces to transport troops. Some large ships do have a small number of soldiers and creatures, so Xiaoming has to find a way to drive them away. Xiao He, who needs to do 2 things at the same time, cannot be summoned. The Chimera aliens like the eldest and the second cannot be commanded without Xiao He. He wanted to send out the subdued mind beasts, but they had no ability to fight under the sea, not even the special forces. Xiaoming had no choice but to go out in person. He led 7 octopus slingers and killed or drove away those soldiers with stones. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 259. We are willing to join the command of the Lord of the Dead, and swear to follow you until death. Please take us in. As soon as Green Xiaoming switched to the Lord of the Dead, 3 vampires knelt down in front of him. They swore to be loyal to him. Xiaoming looked around, but he didn't recognize where he was. He still found out after looking through the system records. This is the 4th level arms nest of Pingnan City, the ghost house that specializes in producing vampires. Why did I run here? The reason is that the follower Lin Mukongai, the vampire who was responsible for artillery. He took the initiative to ask the Lord of the Dead, hoping to recruit a few vampires and train them as gunners. So the Lord of the Dead, controlled by the intelligent program, followed Lin Mukong-gai to the arms nest to recruit new soldiers. It was at this time that Green Xiaoming switched over. Remember the 8-foot mirror? The treasures obtained by the explorer in the mysterious cave were handed over to the Lord of the Dead for use. This treasure will increase the surrender rate of certain NPCs, JP, but it will only work best when the player is present. After all, there are many things that intelligent programs have no right to decide. So this kind of plot will only start when the player arrives. The vampire Lin Mu Shigeyoshi has been following the dead for a while, and Xiaoming is not sure what he is thinking. After logging into the dead today, under the effect of the 8-foot mirror, he actually took the initiative to pledge allegiance to Xiaoming. Buy one get two free, the two behind are his subordinates and generals, and also his children Lin Mu Shishio and Lin Zhong Shijehide. Can vampires still have children? Legendary vampires should not be able to reproduce, right? Could it be that these two so-called children are actually the objects of his first embrace? Or they were transformed together when he was transformed into a vampire? If you look closely at their appearance, these three really seem to be a family. The most important thing about a family is to be together. At this moment, Xiaoming was actually very pressed for time. The divers there had a limited time to stay in the shipwreck. He couldn't waste time. He chose to agree casually. There was no reason to disagree, right? Unexpectedly, the three vampires in front of him suddenly disappeared. What? What is this for? Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you are called vampires. Xiaoming carefully checked and found out that there was another affiliated force under the command of the deceased, the Linmu family. The head of the family was the second-level purple hero Lin Mukong-gai. When he was a follower under the command of the deceased, Xiaoming had no idea that he was actually a hero. At that time, he could only see his adventure level, which was a 4th-level adventure vampire. Unexpectedly, this guy was actually a purple hero, and the leader of a force. His two children, Lin Muchongchao and Lin Mukongziu, were two first-level senior generals. The three of them asked to be loyal to the deceased, and Xiaoming thought they were going to become the deceased's subordinates, but they turned out to be the forces under the deceased. In fact, this information is all in the system prompts. It was just that Xiaoming was in too much of a hurry and didn't look carefully. After opening the strategic panel to check, Xiaoming found that there was an army of the undead stationed on the edge of Pingnan City, led by Lin Muzhonggai and his sons. And the strength of this army was exactly the output of soldiers in Pingnan City this week. Skeleton soldiers, zombies, ghosts, and vampires were all recruited. Xiaoming then realized that when Lin Muzhonggai applied for loyalty, it was actually conditional. The condition was that the accuser had to help the three people restore their family. Not only that, they also took 50,000 gold coins, 50 units of wood and stone, and 20 units of other rare resources from the accuser. This is completely a free-for-all. They took my money and hired soldiers from my city. It's like starting from scratch. Xiaoming was so angry that he was almost angry at. It's okay, that little money. It's nothing. The treasures offered by the Linmu family made Xiaoming feel that this business was not a loss at all. It's great. The more such things, the better. Linmu family artillery secret, a 3rd-level special strategic treasure. Heroes/generals who hold this treasure can make their trebuchets work in ordinary battlefields. In the setting of the Magic Planet strategic map, trebuchets are siege machines and cannot be used in ordinary battlefields. They can only be used in special plots. This treasure removes this restriction, and Xiaoming can use trebuchets on ordinary battlefields. Of course, it is not like in special battlefields, where Xiaoming can set up trebuchets and smash them at will. A hero has a limited number of war machine slots, a total of 10 slots. If a hero wants to carry the same war machine Then starting from the second one, its cost will double. Normal heroes can only equip 2 or 3 of the same war machines at most, which is the most cost-effective. Although the deceased has obtained the racial talent of intermediate skeleton construction, if he wants to equip himself with more war machines through this talent, he will also have to pay extra. After all, it is still a way of playing within the system. It must also comply with the rules of the game. So Xiaoming only bought 3 more bone trebuchets for the dead, spending about 10,000 gold coins. Even Xiaoming was reluctant to buy a 5th one. All these things were done while Xiaoming was on the road. In order to save time, Xiaoming did not even strengthen the new treasures. In this way, the wreckage of large warships was lined up around Pingnan City. The terrain here is open enough, and there is no need to pile them on the hillside like in Gaibei Mountain City. Xiaoming arranged these warships into a second ring wall surrounding Pingnan City. Of course, this wall is crooked and incomplete. About 3 hours is enough for Xiaoming to move out the wreckage of nearly 30 large warships. The main reason is that rushing and cleaning the marine life inside the warships consumed a lot of time. When the deadline arrived, the diver and Emily Bobby were driven away from the shipwreck site. The wreckage of the large warship in Guangmingding. It was taken out again by the octopus boss. In return, the octopus boss gave the diver a glass bottle with a sealed warship. This also made Xiaoming a little suspicious, afraid that the octopus boss could not enter the shipwreck site. Otherwise, there are millions of sunken ships in it. There is no need to rob his own. And what he used to exchange with me was also a warship, so it seemed that he was the one who lost. Could it be that he was responsible for processing? He was the one who put the warship into the magic bottle. That shouldn't be a one-for-one exchange. I can only guess, maybe he can get other benefits. Xiaoming asked himself that he couldn't guess the mind of such a big boss. The diver needed Green Xiaoming to personally protect Emily and Bobby back to Greystone Town. As for the deceased, Green Xiaoming had to let it go for the time being. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 260. Here in Pingnan City, Xiaoming has arranged a box of dates and brought 50 human pirates to guard Pingnan City. His main task is to pick up scraps from the wreckage of the warship. The deceased himself led his army of undead and began to dig a river. The undead soldiers are not smart enough to pick up things. Back in Turtleback Mountain City, it was the group of bandits in the mountain city who were responsible for searching the wreckage of the warship. There are enough human NPCs in Turtleback Mountain City, and they can all be used. Pingnan City is full of undead. There are not many smart ones. There is a lake near the border in this map. Xiaoming plans to dig a river from Pingnan City to connect this lake. In this way, the warships will have a place in this area. Digging a river in the swamp is not too simple. The deceased wears the water god's shoes, and the whole army can step on the water to move forward. It is very easy to dig a river. If it were someone else, it would not be so simple. There are all kinds of natural traps in the swamp. If you get stuck in the mud, you will die. But these mud traps that existed in the swamp are useless to the subordinates of the deceased. I really can't get stuck. His project will be completed soon. On the explorer side, Yin Xiaoming did not teleport the strategic map immediately after arriving at the Temple of Light in Lanzhou City. He took a look at the situation first. This time, the explorer can choose a random location or go to his subordinate Han Dong. But after this selection, you can no longer choose randomly. The location of the teleport will be fixed. Xiaoming thought carefully, and the location recorded by the golden statue of the God of Light is not too far from Han Dong's current location. Without Xiaoming's instructions, Han Dong was actually wandering around in the map. The purpose is to detect the entire map. Then wait for Xiaoming's decision on where to move Xiaoyang village. He has fought a lot of battles in the past few days. With the advantage of long range, all of them are wins without loss, and the number of troops under his command has increased. At the same time, he also earned a lot of money and resources for Xiaoming. The hero level also rose to level 8, level 0. The adventure level of him and his good friend Qiu Santung also rose by 2 levels. Xiaoming instructed Han Dong to lead the army to the place where the explorer left last time. Waiting for the explorer, Xiaoming planned to blossom in 2 directions, so the random teleportation of the temple was temporarily kept. Yin Xiaoming decided to go to the researcher to have a look. A big thing happened to the researcher. Admiral Li Huamei came to Xinluo City again and found him again. After Yin Xiaoming switched over, the special plot began. Li Huamei took out a coffin made of ice from his backpack. There was a body frozen in the coffin. A middle-aged Chinese man with a short beard and a long body. Even if frozen in ice, it can be seen that he looks quite handsome, elegant. Li Huamei hopes that Xiaoming can use the ancient transformation technique to transform into this person. Alas, it is another sad story. Speaking of it, the matter is not complicated. This man is called Richard, and he is a Ming Dynasty sea turtle. There is no trace of studying abroad in his appearance. Although his surname is Li, he is not from Li Huamei's family. He is only 7 or 8 years older than Li Huamei. Richard traveled to many countries overseas since he was a child and learned a lot of Western scientific ideas and technologies. After returning to China, he devoted himself to the strength of the country. But unfortunately, the Ming dynasty was too corrupt. No matter how hard he tried, he was regarded as a gimmick and a follower. When he was discouraged, Richard met Li Huamei, who was still a young lady at the time. When the two met and talked, it was like thunder and lightning that touched the earth. One was willing to teach, and the other was willing to learn. After a few years, Li Huamei not only learned a lot of advanced knowledge from Richard, but also fell in love with Richard. Richard also fell in love with Li Huamei. Both men and women are talented and beautiful, and have the same interests. After a few years of getting along, it would be strange if they didn't fall in love with each other. Then came the classic scene of breaking up a couple. A young lady and a poor scholar. Their marriage was naturally opposed by the Li family. This is also one of the reasons why Li Huamei became a pirate independently. Unfortunately, lovers have been hard to marry since ancient times. In this storm, Richard was seriously injured. Fortunately, Li Huamei had a Taoist ice seal. She froze the dying Richard. Then Li Huamei took the country and the nation as her own responsibility and embarked on the road of going out to sea to save the country. Richard's ice coffin has also been treasured by her, hoping that one day she will meet someone from the Taoist sect to help Richard come back to life. Although it is not known whether Richard is dead or alive in this state. It was precisely because of Richard's problem that they could not get married. So the Li family felt sorry for Li Huamei, so they also helped the Li family pirates in many ways. Although Li Huamei was dissatisfied with the tragedy of Richard because of the Li family. But after all, it was not the Li family's deliberate action, but a temporary mistake. Therefore, he did not vent his anger on his parents and family. Li Huamei was not an ungrateful person for giving birth to Richard. The relationship between the two sides was maintained at a moderate level. Although they were not close to each other in terms of family affection, their business dealings became very frequent. The Li family gained huge profits from Li Huamei's pirates. The family's power was rising steadily. Of course, Li Huamei had been looking for a way to rescue Richard over the years. The Li family had actually regretted it a long time ago. Let alone the matter that forced Li Huamei to leave. Even the profits from the sea were far beyond the imagination of the Li family. It seems that Richard is really capable. If such a son-in-law appears now, the Li family will be eager to marry their daughter. Why did they have such a brainless mind and disagree with their marriage? Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in the world. Over the years, not only Li Huamei has been looking for a way to save Richard, but the Li family has also been trying to help. If this person survives, it will definitely be a huge fortune for the Li family. Li Huamei is a little obsessed with this matter. In fact, she has given up hope in her subconscious. It is not so easy to meet people from the Taoist section. Even if you meet a few, their level of Taoism is far from enough to solve Richard's situation. The same is true for Song Xiaofeng, the new recruit of the Li family pirates. The level of this playful little girl is even worse. At this time, Li Huamei saw the ancient transformation technique of the researcher. This gave her another hope. She knew in her heart that this transformation could not bring Richard back to life. It would only allow the researcher to have Richard's appearance and memory. The slightly obsessed Li Huamei thought that this was fine. If the appearance and memory were the same, maybe Richard really came back. At least it could alleviate the pain of missing the eldest lady for so many years.